right, well, I know some people are trailing in, but we're going to go ahead and get started just so that we can stay on time this morning. Good morning, everyone. Well, very excited to have everyone here today. For those who I've not had the pleasure to meet, my name is Nicole Wright. I'm the project manager overseeing technology with Gwinnett Chamber Economic Development and Partnership Gwinnett. One of my duties is overseeing the Gwinnett Technology Forum every other month, and we're excited to have everyone here. This is our opportunity to take the time to talk about what's changing in the technology industry. We've already had some programs this year talking about healthcare IT, artificial intelligence, cloud computing, and I'm excited today that we're going to talk about the smart grid. It's been quite a few months since we've had this topic, and so very excited to hear about the updates that we have in that particular sector of our industry. Before we get started in introducing our speaker, though, I would like to recognize those companies who helped to make all of this possible, which is our sponsors. And first up is our 2012 presenting sponsor, who you've seen over the last few months. We have Blue Wave Computing, and here to just say a few words for them is Adam Jennings.
Good morning, everybody. Thanks for coming out. We're proud to be the presenting sponsor for the Technology Forum and drive it into Gwinnett County this year. We're a managed IT support company, Microsoft Gold partner. We also do managed hosting, disaster recovery, and application development. 420 customers in Atlanta. I like to say that we're the biggest technology company nobody's ever heard of. So we're looking to change that moving forward, getting ready to open offices in Peachtree Corners. And if you're interested in IT support services or any of our other services or just like talking about technology, come by and see me. Thanks. Thanks, Nicole.
Thank you again to Blue Wave. I next would like to talk about our breakfast sponsor, which is Charter Business. Charter Business is the business entity of Charter Communications, and they're a leading provider of scalable, cost-effective broadband communication solutions to businesses. Charter Business provides services such as business telephone service, internet access, data networking, and video services to small, medium, and enterprise businesses. For large and enterprise customers, Charter Business offers services such as optical Ethernet and fiber internet. Is Sierra in here? She might be outside. All right, well, Sierra is here with Charter Business, so if you have any questions at all, please see her after our presentation today. I'd also like to recognize our platinum sponsor this year, which is Anderson, Tate & Carr, which is Gwinnett's preeminent full-service business law firm, and they have been representing businesses in Gwinnett, Metro Atlanta, and Northeast Georgia for over 30 years. ATC's attorneys are experienced in representing technology companies on a variety of including corporate organization and structure, management and finance, complex contract negotiations and disputes, intellectual property licensing and protection, employment issues, and investment mergers and acquisitions. They have a team approach, and it's designed to provide its technology clients with the legal assistance necessary to expand and protect their business in a cost-effective and efficient manner. And I believe I saw Kathleen Hart, yep, there she is, in the back with Anderson, Tate & Carr. So if you have any questions, please see Kathleen as well. Our gold sponsors this year are Cisco and Electronic Recycling Services, and our silver sponsors are Canvas Systems and Synergy America. Our community partners are the 1818 Club, TAG, the Technology Association of Georgia, the American Israel Chamber of Commerce, and Gwinnett Technical College. So if you'll join me, let's give a round of applause for all of our 2012 sponsors. All right, well, again, I'm very excited about our topic and our speaker today, which is going to be focusing on smart grid. Ken Carrot has over 35 years of experience in the electric utility automation field. You can read his full bio on the back of your agenda, but just to give you the most recent update, his recent position is as the Senior Smart Grid Systems Engineer for GE. In this role, Ken is responsible for the high-level architectural design for GE's smart grid system offering. This includes interoperability requirements between GE's products used in smart grid solutions and legacy systems used by GE's utility customers. Ken is the U.S. National Country Representative on the, bear with me, International Electrotechnical Commission Standards Management Board, Smart Grid number 3. I will only say that one time, but you can read it multiple on the back. So we are very excited. Clearly, we have an expert in the field with us, and he's going to be sharing his knowledge and his insight on smart grids. So welcome, and thank you, Ken.
Thank you, Nicole. As Nicole brings up my presentation, first of all, I'd like to thank the Gwinnett Chamber for inviting me. As I was telling Nicole, I did check the Gwinnett Chamber out, and I found it's one of the most progressive communities in Georgia. So it's a great honor to be here to talk about the smart grid. And my topic today is if 80% of our energy can be supplied by renewables, what's taking so long? You've probably seen a number of reports out recently that we want to get to that target by 2050. Well, I won't be here talking to you in 2050. I'll probably be 6 feet under. So why is it taking so long? If we have the technology now and could displace all the fossil fuel plants by renewable energy, why don't we do it now? And that's basically what I want to talk about today. Can everybody hear me okay in the back? Is good? Okay, perfect. So again, how can we accelerate the adoption of renewable energy? There's a great number of roadblocks that we have to overcome, and we will need a lot of engineers and new technologies to get there. And that's why it's exciting to be presenting in the Gwinnett Technical College. We'll need a lot of technical people. Even though we're at 8% unemployment, we have a lot of trouble getting the technical people we need. So there's a shortage in skilled technical knowledge, even though the unemployment. So training is going to be a huge issue. Let me talk about where we are now. You'll hear a lot of reports that the U.S. is at 10% renewables. Well, that's a bit misleading because they lump in 6.4% of that is hydropower. That's been in place for years. Yes, it's renewable, but like I say, it's been in place for years. It's very hard to build. There are very few opportunities to build more hydro plants going forward. So if you look at what we've done so far, 2.4% of the nation's energy supply, electricity supply is from wind energy, 0.7 from biopower, which Georgia has great resources there, 0.4% from geothermal, 0.05 from solar. So we're only about 3% new renewable energy. So we got a long ways to go to get the National Renewables Energy Laboratories in Denver came out with a report saying that we can get to 80% by 2050, and they're claiming 50% wind and 50% solar. But that, like I say, that is a long ways away. Why can we not accelerate that? And there's also other targets of 20% by 2020, but we've got the 3%. Are these numbers optimistic, or are they too long, or what can we do to accelerate those programs? Unfortunately, a lot of these reports, you really got to dig in to the assumptions that they state. Assumptions are always wildly optimistic, and even my reports have a lot of hyperbole in them, so you got to read them carefully. Number one is energy efficiency. They claim to get to 80% by 2050, that our energy usage will remain flat for that period of time because of efficiencies, new efficiency programs. But I find that wildly optimistic. We have never remained flat in our energy use in the entire history since Edison invented the grid, and we've seen a steady incline. Even though new efficiency programs had huge impacts, we continue to find new uses of electrical energy. Our TVs are getting bigger, our homes are getting bigger. As we know, this year it's getting hotter. Our electricity use continues to grow. So that's probably a bad assumption, number one. Transportation, hopefully this one does happen. Most of the scenarios assume that petrol or organic fueled cars will be, or petroleum-based cars will be replaced by electric vehicles over this time frame. That one's hard to call. The sales projections for this year are way down our sales of electric vehicle charging have not met target either because of that. So we'll have to watch that one closely and see how electric vehicles are adopted. Renewable energy, especially solar and wind, introduce all kinds of new problems to the electric grid. I'm going to talk about a lot more about this, but they'll require a lot more flexibility in operation of the electric grid. They will need a lot of new technology, and this is where we need a lot of engineers. A career in energy between now and 2050 will be exciting and very challenging, and we need a lot of engineers. Transmission, again, I'm going to get into this in detail, but unfortunately the areas where there's a lot of wind and solar generation are a long ways from the load. So we got to build a lot of transmission lines in order to get all of that renewable energy from the source of generation to the loads. And siting and permitting, it takes too long. And I'm going to talk about that. I want to make a clarification now before I get myself into trouble. This is an election year. As I move forward, I'm going to talk a lot about government policy. When I talk about government policy, it's going to be in generic terms, okay? I'm not advocating one party over another. I'm talking about government in general because it's going to require both parties in order to move this forward. So there's some assumptions made, all of them very optimistic, okay? So let's talk about issue number one, moving forward rapidly with adoption of renewable technologies into the smart grid. And this one's number one. I'm very strong in this, that we lack a national energy policy. We really need the government to take leadership in this area, set clear goals for the adoption of renewable energy, and movement away from fossil fuel-fired power plants to renewable energy is going to take clear government policy, setting goals and targets, clear goals and targets, and holding the nation to meeting those goals and targets. The analogy I like to use is the car industry. Many years ago and currently they set clear emission targets, and the industry rose and met those. In fact, actually exceeded them. Again, this is what's needed here. I'm not advocating bailout programs or government funding programs. I'm just advocating a clear national energy policy that sets clear targets for renewable energy throughout the country. Why do we need this? My apologies for using cartoons, but any time that you have uncertainty, investment's going to run from uncertainty. To move renewable technologies forward, we're going to need a lot of investment. We're going to need a lot of entrepreneurial companies that are willing to take those risks and drive technology forward. While when there's still uncertainty, people are not going to invest. I pushed a fairly big program through recently for a renewables project in California, and I got continually beat up. Ken, I don't see the long-term vision. I don't know when this market's going to happen. I'm risk adverse. I don't want to invest. I was able to talk them into giving me money, but it was a big fight. So again, we need that clarity and leadership from our representatives in Washington. Regulatory requirements, it just takes too long to cite new generation facilities, new transmission lines, to open up the opportunities for new types of generation. It takes now about 7+ years to build a transmission line, probably longer. 12+ years to build a power plant. There's the NIMBY effect and the banana effect, not in my backyard in build absolutely nothing anywhere near anything. In fact, people are always interested. People are always interested in renewables technology as long as it doesn't impact them. There've been a lot of cases recently. I won't mention the politician's name. Was a big advocate for wind energy until they decided to put offshore wind in Nantucket Sound, and whoa, it didn't become such a good idea anymore. So again, too many special interest groups that influence, again, government policy, and we need clarity of vision and strong leadership to say, hey, this is really correct, and we got to do this for the betterment of mankind. Environmental issues, again, these take a very long time. We got to look forward, do the correct studies. Unfortunately, again, there's extremes of both the right and the left that impact these. Environmental issues often become political issues. Again, we got to stay away from that and really focus on what the problem is. We got to be good stewards of the environment, but we can't let it get involved in political processes. We got to be able to streamline the time it takes to build new generation facilities, siting renewable plants, getting through the environmental issues, things like that. Issue number 3 is incentive programs. Renewable energy right now and the advancement of technology is highly dependent on government incentive programs, tax incentives, project capital investment tax incentives, feed-in tariff incentives. So let's just take a look at solar. Very fast-growing renewables, about 80% compound annual growth rate. It's one of our best-growing renewables area. And if you take a look at the deployment, up to 46%. Actually, some communities in Germany are 100% rooftop solar. Spain, up to 20%. But 55 cent per kilowatt hour feed-in tariff, 20%. And then you take a look at the U.S. as about 10%, 8%, and the rest of the world about 16%. But you can see the growth of this technology, that 80% of the demand for solar installations is highly dependent on incentive programs or subsidy driven through either the local governments, federal governments, or utility incentives. So again, that's some area that we got to watch closely, because if you take a look at Spain here, or the rest of Europe, basically broke. We're probably not in much better shape. So a lot of these incentive programs are coming up either this year or by 2014. If those incentive programs are not renewed, what's going to be the impact to these renewable energy programs? Is technology development going to slow down? Is it going to stop? The solar programs in Spain, and most of those incentives are now coming off, and it's having a huge impact on solar technology in Spain. So that's something we got to watch for and make sure that the right programs in place to incentivize technology programs, again, to invest in new renewables technology. This is a huge impact here. Now, the U.S. is well positioned for growth. A number of states have renewable standards portfolio that incentivize companies to invest, install renewable energy. There are 11 plus states with, oh boy, my apologies on So you can see that there are a number of states with solar carve-outs, 11 plus, with distributed generation, 4 mandatory programs, 28 plus the District of Columbia, voluntary 5, and others considering. So again, you see how dependent these programs are on government incentives and programs. So again, going forward and meeting these 2050 targets or accelerating these programs are going to take strong leadership in government and turnaround in the economy, especially in Europe, is going to be critical. And if you take a look at California incentives, renewable driven 3 gigawatts over the next 5 years and 10 gigawatts by 2025. So these programs stay in place, we'll see strong growth. If not, we may see it stop or actually send a number of companies into financial trouble. Okay. So again, strong government leadership is required. Issue number 4, generation versus load. This is a very hidden problem. A lot of people don't know this. A lot of advocates, again, of renewables energy saying, yeah, we can build it. Lots of opportunities to, we can build the amount of generation needed. But if you take a look at a map of where all this generation is, it's places where there's no population. And the place where the load and population is a long ways away from generation. So if you just take a look at, let's just take, hydropower up in the northwest here, PV, Arizona, New Mexico, Texas. But where's the population? The population is on the East Coast and the West Coast. Again, concentrated solar power, again, Arizona, Mexico, geothermal, again, the Midwest, wind definitely in the Midwest. So if you take a look at wind and solar, which National Renewables Energy Laboratory says we can reach 80% by 2050, big problem here. Oops, sorry, big problem here, okay? Our generation is a long ways from the load, which is over here, okay? So how do we overcome that? Pretty easy, we build transmission lines. Again, if we go back to what I previously said, 7+ years to build, I think that's optimistic. The last big transmission line was 12 years to get siting approval. So again, a lot of studies say that a major transmission line build-out will be needed. Again, the resistance to building big transmission lines, and they will be big, okay, is fairly high, because who wants those in their backyard? You don't want to look out your house in the morning and look at that. So again, it's going to be tremendous, a lot of give and take to build all that transmission line. A lot of estimates say it will be a $1 trillion investment. So not only do we have to build the renewable generation, we got to build the transmission line to get it from the source of generation to the load centers. We'll want to use high voltage DC transmission lines. They're much more efficient, lower cost to build when you talk about greater distances. So there'll have to be advances in this area. So again, plenty of opportunities in new technology. Okay. Issue number 5, renewables variability. This is a big problem, because if we went to, say, 80% renewables like the National Renewable Energy Laboratory predicts by 2050, the wind doesn't blow all the time and the sun doesn't shine all the time. So 50% of our energy is going to come from wind and solar, we got a major problem. Because what if the wind's, it's the middle of the night and the wind's not blowing? We've lost half of our generation. So how do we overcome that? And that's going to take a lot of new technology, because there's going to be a huge demand on utilities operating these systems, because again, you got this huge variability. So the problem is, right now, if we did this right now, we would have to have fossil fuel plants spinning, burning up fuel, just in case it became cloudy or the wind died down, because you can't lose all of that generation and expect customers to lose power. So, so then we're kind of defeating the purpose we originally set out to achieve, because sure, we can generate with wind and solar, but if we have to have fossil fuel plants spinning for reserve in case of, like I say, a major storm comes in and clouds the sky, or the wind dies down, and we don't get that generation. How do we overcome that? Because we want to replace a lot of that fossil fuel. So what we'll really want to look at is new storage technologies, or what I call non-spinning reserve. When we get variability in the wind or solar, that we can then draw on those storage devices like batteries, large flywheels, compressed air from underground caverns. There's a number of storage technologies that we're looking at, and use that non-spinning fossil fuel storage to pick up that reserve when we get the variability in the wind and the sun. So again, a lot of technology. New technology opportunities. Yeah. Lights are still on. So a lot of new technology is going to be required to overcome that. Again, how do we get rid of that fossil fuel spinning reserve to take care of the variability in wind and solar? Another problem that causes problems with wind and solar is, again, with those spinning reserves that we have right now. When you get that variability, you got to ramp up and down your spinning reserve every time you get that variability. Now, in traditional systems, the way we have it now, those ramp up, ramp downs are quite in frequency, are quite few, and they're very slow, and so it doesn't have a huge impact on the machines. Now, when we use fossil fuel machines for reserve to mitigate the impact of variability on renewables, you get them constantly moving up and down. And when you ramp up any machine up and down, you're going to wear it out. So what utilities are starting to see is a more rapid wear on their reserve machines. Okay, so that's driving extra costs. So again, that kind of drives. Is it me that's doing this? Okay. So again, we have to look at how do we mitigate those ramping up and down. Look at, again, new storage technology that limits the impact of ramp up, ramp down based on variability of renewables generation. Another big problem, utilities every day have to predict what their load is going to be for that day, build a load profile, and then make sure they have enough generation in place to meet those loads during the day. That's called load forecasting. With today's technology and generation types, you can predict the load very, very accurately, and you can predict how much generation you can get very accurately. It'll meet that load, and that's why the lights stay on day in, day out. Now, can anybody predict the wind and sun very accurately? You watch the weather forecast every night? Not very accurate. So again, the big issue is when we're using wind and solar for generation, how do we get more accurate forecasting so we have a good idea how much generation we're going to get from those renewable sources. So again, a lot of technology. Forecasting, new technologies for greater forecasting of renewable energy is going to be, and then again, the integration costs. Another area that we're looking at is using demand response to mitigate the variability of renewable energy. If you can't control the generation, you can control the load. Okay, we look at load like negative generation. So if we can control the load in conjunction with renewable energy and have no impact on you, then it's a win-win situation, because controlling a load doesn't require any use of energy. It actually reduces energy consumption. So what we call is demand response control to mitigate the variability. And we're starting to use those programs. We're probably the largest technology company in that area throughout the world. Okay, integration cost. All of these technologies are new. Storage costs are still extremely high. We got to come up with new lower cost solutions there. So integration of renewables onto the current grid is going to be expensive. Like I say, $1 trillion in transmission build-out. So again, we got to get at integration costs. What time is it? Oh. 12 minutes too? Okay, I'm going to quickly go through what do we have to do. Okay, perfect. So what do we have to do? Just in summary. And like I say, it's an election year, so when you're going to become very popular in the next few months, you're going to get a lot of attention. So when you meet your congressman or senator, put some pressure on them. Ask them, what's your energy policy? You'll see a lot of shuffling of the feet probably, but this is what we have to be. The U.S. needs a national energy policy. We have to build the energy highways or transmission systems needed to build renewable energy sources to the load. We have to do that. It's going to take a lot of money. Yeah, $1 trillion in infrastructure investment. We have to invest in economic storage technologies needed to develop intermittency and regulation of renewables resources. Again, there's a lot of variability in renewable wind and solar, so we got to build those type of economic storage. Regulatory standards for grid reliability and regulatory standards for building new infrastructure that have to be streamlined. They take too long and become too politicized. Renewable energy sources. Sorry, they train us over and over again. Never use acronyms in your presentation.
We all have different TLAs.
Yeah, thank you. Well, again, I jumped faster, more transparent, and the key word is transparent procedures for new transmission and renewable energy sources installation. Again, they just take forever. Again, everybody knows the economic situation we're all in. However, and this is my opinion, not the opinion of General Electric, I really believe if we put the right national energy policy in place, streamline the regulatory requirements, that we will create thousands of jobs, okay, and turn the economy around. So there's this chicken egg thing. You have to invest to make money. So, you know, a competitive retail market, well-functioning energy services market, the integration of renewables with distribution, and accommodate new types of demand such as electric vehicles. There's a lot of leadership that's going to be required in the next 30 to 50 years to drive this forward. Like I said, because of our inaccuracies in forecasting, the issues of intermittency and variability of renewables, it's going to require a whole new control scheme in order to make sure that we maintain the grid stability that we currently have, the use of demand response for regulation and intermittency management, those type of things, a whole new set of automation tools and technologies and a new way of operating the grid is going to be needed. So again, plenty of opportunities for new engineers and technologists and computer scientists to figure all of these new operating procedures out and how to automate that in the most efficient manner. So an 8-step program to get there. Again, put pressure on your representatives, say, hey, we got to do this, drive this forward. And so at this time, I think my timing's pretty good. I'll open it up to questions.
What we found out is the feedback is coming from the handhelds, so we're going to have to do this the old-fashioned way. So if you would like to stand up and ask your question and project.
Oh, you're really putting pressure on them, Nicole.
But it is open for Q&A if anyone has any questions for Ken.
Yes.
Ann?
Why is Germany and Europe so much more successful than we have been at this? What are they doing differently, and what can we learn from them?
Oh, no, that's easy. Government incentives. Okay. When you're getting a 55-cent per kilowatt feed in tariff, you're probably paying, Georgia Power, I think, is around 12 to 14 cents. That's probably what you're paying. So if they're giving a 55 cents feed-in tariff, that's why they're so successful. But again, it's this. I think it's been highly successful because we were just on the phone yesterday with Germany, and on the rooftop solar programs, a lot of areas are over 50% penetration now. Some areas are 100%. Germany is a huge success story. Now, is that going to be economically viable in the long term? We'll have to wait and see. But Spain, on the other hand, was highly successful, but now they're broke. We don't know if these incentives will come on or off in the next couple of years, so we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, that's pretty easy. That's highly incentive driven.
Just a follow-up question on that. So I think they removed those subsidies about a year or 2 years back. Do you have any updated data on that? As to how that program or the installation has changed after they removed the subsidies?
Well, I know what's happening in Spain, and I'll just say, it's had a huge impact and a negative impact. So I don't have any long-term data on that. So no, I can't answer that definitively, what the impact is. But there's still plenty of growth. So, yes.
Where did you come up with $1 trillion investment figure?
Where did I come up with it? I didn't personally come up with it.
I guess what is that composed of?
It's proposed that they took the 80% and then they took a look at the current loads in the eastern and western coast, and then took a look at current capacity and what additional transmission capacity would take a look at, and that's what, that's over that 2050 year period. So, but it's still a major investment.
Generation and transmission?
No, just transmission. Yeah. So it's a big number. How accurate it is, I don't know, but I just took it out of a number of sources. Yes?
I noticed one of the problems you put up was the grid having to power EVs.
Yeah.
What is GE doing, and what do you think about EV to home and EV to grid technology, which could take these 500,000 25 kilowatt-hour battery packs that we're slopping around on our Leafs and Kodas, and actually using that to be the bounce to
Part of that
solar.
mitigation of the variability of renewables, yeah.
Yeah, without, by the way, $1 billion.
Okay, what's GE,
transmission.
okay.
Yeah.
What's GE doing?
Yeah,
Well, we're,
Toyota just announced a huge initiative, and Nissan.
yep,
I mean, you can come to UPS for your house, and you can net zero if the utility allows it.
Yeah.
And
yeah, there's a lot of debate there. First of all, I'll answer what GE's doing. We're replacing a lot of our fleet with electric vehicles. All our sales people in Atlanta drive electric vehicles. We're developing the EV charging stations, the Watt station. If you come by our smart grid center of excellence, 2018 Powers Ferry and Marietta there, you'll see a big solar carport in our parking lot for our employees to use. I believe GE is going to purchase about 30,000 electric vehicles over the next 5 years, I believe the time frame is. You know, to be totally transparent, we would love to see it because it's going to drive more generation, right? And we sell all kinds of
so far, you're only talking about the downside of EVs. My question was, what about EV to home? And
No, I'm
EV
not
to
talking
grid?
upside. I'm talking upside.
No, it's all how we're using power, how they're using power.
Oh, okay. So let me get to your
We're
answer.
part of the solution,
That's a good. Okay,
Yeah,
let me
there you
get to. Sorry, what's your name?
Mark.
Martin. Get to Martin's question of vehicle to grid and grid. Now, here's the issues. The electric vehicle industry has to buy in because there's a lot of debate on what the impact that's going to have on your life of your battery. Number two is they got to build out infrastructure into electric vehicles right now, and like you say, Toyota and Nissan is looking into do that because right now it's charger only, and you need charger inverter combinations to be built in. So the next generation of electric vehicles will have to have that combination. Then they'll have to turn control of those over to through some program to the electric utilities, allow electric utilities to use that energy storage to mitigate. So it has huge potential, but again, there's probably a lot of regulatory and customer interface issues that we have to overcome. And there's a lot of liability issues because if I used your car for regulation and then I drained your battery and you had a heart attack and your wife is going to rush you to the hospital, you get out there and so there's all those issues that we have to work through, but I think it's coming. I think it's going to happen, and it'll solve the problem it'll help us do a lot of the regulation requirements for renewables variability. When it'll happen, I'm not sure. Have I answered your question, or have I totally?
Yeah, I was just, you only had it in the negative side of the problem.
Oh, okay.
And it's as much a solution as your $1 trillion and more overhead lines is. As a matter of fact, it could happen faster.
Well, yeah. Sorry, I'll take yours second. I haven't got a question from this gentleman.
How far is the technology away from not requiring massive subsidies in order for it to be viable in the market?
Wind, I think, is very close, if not there right now. Solar, a lot of people saying 2015 time frame will be at parity. Again, you got to be very careful by what they mean by parity, because let's say Georgia Power is charging you 14 cents a kilowatt right now. Well, basically half of that is the infrastructure cost, so the energy cost is only about 7 cents. A lot of people say, oh, I'm at 14, I can now deliver you power at 14 cents a kilowatt, therefore I'm at parity. That's not exactly true. They'd have to get to 7 cents a kilowatt to really be at parity. Understand what I'm saying? So you really got to ask some key questions there. But wind, we feel we're pretty well there now, and solar probably in the next 5 years. Oh, sorry. Yeah, you were.
With the various renewable portfolio standards, feed-in tariffs, and carbon taxes, all these different schemes that incentivize there one that seems to be, the data suggesting that one of them tends to be more effective and more economically viable than others?
Well, boy, this is a personal opinion, okay, not an opinion of General Electric, because I know I'm going to get myself into trouble.
Ken, do you mind repeating the question?
Oh, the question was, there's a number of incentive programs, feed-in tariffs, tax credits, project tax credits, those type of programs. Is one better than the other? Well, it depends on what side of the fence you're on. Feed-in tariffs in Europe have had a huge impact and really incentivize you to do it. If you're a EPC company, the project tax credits are probably more favorable to you. In the U.S., there's PP, power production. I forget what the acronym is. Sorry, Martin, I can't remember my three-letter acronyms, but there's power production credits. Again, there's pros and cons to all of them, but probably the feed-in tariff is the biggest incentive.
In talking about technology, a question comes to mind. What is GE doing in order to help reduce attacks and mitigate, various attacks and threats, and be able to approach vulnerabilities and such? I mean, how far are they, and kind of where are they at now? Because I know with various attacks with SCADA systems and such, I know grids and technology, smart technology, is always under attack.
Yeah, very, very good question, and one I didn't put up there. You should always have that on your presentation because it's always a threat. You're right, and I'm surprised that there hasn't been a major attack to date because it can have a huge impact not on the economy, but it's life-threatening as well. We take that very, very serious. One of our employees in my group was on the NIST standards body for smart grid. We developed, he was the leader in the development of that standard. We have a whole department of cybersecurity for smart grid. We have 6 people. We're a leader in that. I'm the U.S. national representative on the smart grid standards body, and we pay a lot of attention to that. We make sure that all of our products are CIP, which is FERC NERC standards for cybersecurity. We do a lot of testing on that to make sure they're SIP, critical infrastructure products, I think, compliant. So we spend a lot of time and money to make sure, because we do not want to be on the front page of any paper with that associates our equipment with any kind of favor. So we take it very, very serious. Yeah. Oh, 1 minute? Or one more question. Okay.
Well, I just have a comment.
Yeah.
To drive all this to fastest implementation, all you need to do is close the Straits of Hormuz.
Streets of what?
The Straits of Hormuz.
Oh, Straits of Hormuz, yeah.
Double or triple the price of oil, and then all of a sudden the market will do all these things that we so far don't have the political will to do, because you're not going to get reelected as a politician.
Yeah, this is going to take, like I say, a lot of leadership at the government level. So put pressure. Yeah, they're going to be coming and seeing you in the next 6 months more than you're going to want to see them. Take advantage of it. Say, hey, what are you doing? And how's your national energy policy coming along? And I'm talking both parties here because we need leadership in Washington in this area. So, Nicole, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Okay. Yeah.
All right, thank you again, Ken. Always an interesting topic, and he did a great job actually giving us some action items as well. So will you be able to stay just a few minutes afterwards in case anyone has any questions? Perfect, perfect. So if you have any additional questions for him, please come up after to ask him that. So So just a few quick announcements. Our next technology forum is going to be Tuesday, September 18th. So please mark your calendars for that. You can always get an update on who our speaker and topic will be at gwinnettechnologyforum.com or on the Gwinnett Chamber calendar of events. Also, before you leave, please fill out the evaluations you see in front of you. It's very helpful to make sure that we can always better these programs, bring in the topics and the speakers that are of interest to you. And last but not least, as always, we have 2 drawings. And so the first is for a lunch for 2 at the 1818 Club. And the winner is Steed Kettles, Unified Systems Management. Steed, congratulations. And they'll bring that certificate to you at the end. And then we have an Office Professional Plus package from Blue Wave Computing. And the winner is for that Michael Casey, Gwinnett County Public Library. Are you here, Michael? Oh, congratulations. And if you want to come forward, you can come get this. But again, thank you, Ken. Really appreciate it. Always a great update on Smart Grid. Again, stay tuned for September's topic, and have a great morning. Thank you all for joining us.